All right. We're here at the 28 to 3 podcast. I'm here with Nick, Max, Corey. And for our first guest, who could only be the first guest, it's a man that needs no introduction because y'all all knew him, Saints Hall of Famer, Roman Harper. What's going on, Rome?
What's up, fellas? Max.
Yeah, welcome to the show, bud.
Corey. And who's the other third partner in crime right here?
Nick.
Yeah, you've met Nick before at some point at Root. We've had a shot or two with him.
Oh, okay.
We also might have hung out in Denver at the Denver game.
Oh,
remember that? We were at the same. Remember that? We were at the same restaurant before.
Yes. Okay.
I think that was Peyton years. Was that when Peyton was there, Max?
Yeah, that was the game they kicked the crap out of us. Fun game.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That was
Steve Spagnuolo's defense.
Yeah.
We were terrible.
Thanks for bringing back that memory, buddy.
Yeah, you saying that, Rome, probably just took a solid 10 minutes out of this podcast. But, yeah, so, I mean, look, they couldn't have ever – like I told Max this earlier, Rome, it didn't matter if we were 5 episodes in, 100 episodes in. It could only be one first guest. So, like I said, it's a historic moment for the 28 to 3 podcast. And we're doing a little bit ahead of schedule now that you, Rome, are our first guest. And – you know, I know just as a little bit of background, you know, you and Max known each other for a long time. I was fortunate enough to, you know, be friends with Max when he had his restaurant Root, and I was sitting there just having a drink with Max one night, and, you know, me being the lifelong Saints fan that I was, and then Max comes up and was like, "Hey, man, you want to come do a shot with Roman Harper for his birthday?" And I'm like, "Wait. You mean Roman Harper, the Saints player?" And he's like, "Yeah, who the hell else do you think I'm talking about?" And but the coolest thing about that was like, yeah, we did a shot, no big deal. And then you and I, Roman, got to know each other after that. And you know, shit, that was back in like 2010. So it was long, I mean, time flies, right?
That's crazy how long ago that was.
Yeah, because I mean, the only reason I can say with that much certainty is that I was in law school, you know, from 08 to 11, and I know that I was in law school because that was the only time where, like, if it wasn't like a month before my finals and shit, I could kind of have free reign of whatever I wanted to do, including like go drink way too many Negronis at Root with Max, and then do shots for Roman Harper on his birthday, even if it was a fucking Wednesday night. And, you know, so like that's my frame of reference for that. So, yeah, I mean, good Lord, that was like 12 years ago.
As pumped as everyone is about your law school career, Roman,
I'm not trying to pump up the law school career.
Law school. So
I'm not pumping up the fact. I'm just saying frame of reference. Come on, man.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about football rather than your
point is, Rome's an old friend. He's the first guest of the pod. So let's go. Let's get into it. Yeah. Draft.
Let's roll. Well, I think we should start with Rome. Tell us a little bit about your draft experience. You know, you were drafted back in 2006 in the second round. So take us through, I guess, that whole weekend. You know, I guess it would have been Friday night when you were selected. So what?
No. It was
Saturday would have been Saturday.
That was when the draft.
Yeah.
Draft was just 2 days back then. First 3 rounds on Saturday. And then Sunday was 4 through 7. So I was a first day guy. So in all honesty, fellas, all right, it was I didn't know where I was going to go. I knew I wasn't a first round pick, according to my agent. Every team he had done this breakdown on, I was either going to go from anywhere from the second round all the way to the 5th round. So leading up to the draft, I didn't party. I didn't really drink. I didn't hang out really for like months because I just didn't want to get in trouble. I wanted to put everything I had into this whole process so I could look back and say, you know, I did everything I could under my own power to try and put myself in the best position to be drafted high. But I truly had no idea who was all interested in me. I probably talked to 10, 12 teams at the combine, if that many. And then during the like visits part of the whole thing, I had 0 visits. I didn't go anywhere. Nobody like brought me out anywhere. I had Carolina Panthers safeties coach, Coach Gilhammer, actually came and saw me in Tuscaloosa, and that was the only team that actually like tried to come see me or had any contact with after the combine. So I literally had no clue, and it was just weird to me that nobody, I understand why later, as I got into the league and was there a long time, I figured out why. But at the time, I was very naive and just didn't understand it. I was actually quite jealous of other people and envious because I just didn't know. So that Friday night before the draft, I told you I hadn't partied or anything, and I was back in Tuscaloosa, and I kicked the ball out of the park that night. I freaking went hard in the paint, like we know, like we all know how Roman Harper knows how to get after it.
Well,
that was that night.
You got right. Sounds like you got right.
Man, I went all in, and so Saturday morning I woke up literally as the draft was about to start, about noon. So I literally just rolled over when the draft was about to start. I was like, dude, I gotta like sober up, get home. It's about an hour and 15 ride. So I showered, got cleaned up, got in the car, drove home. By the time I got home, the second round was just about to start. And I was at home for 30 minutes or so. And maybe 35, 40 minutes. I don't even know. And then my mom was like, hey, somebody's calling the house phone. They want to talk to you. And I was like, who the hell would be calling my parents' house phone right now?
The landline?
Yeah, the landline. Like, who would be calling my parents' house phone? So I'm sitting there on my T-Mobile sidekick and talking to one of my former college teammates, just chatting it up with him on AIM or whatever. And then it was Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis, and they were saying they were going to draft me. And I just hit them with a whole bunch of like, yes, sir, and then I got off the phone, with him after that. My mom was like, who is it? I was like, oh, there's just somebody wanted to ask about some interview stuff, maybe possibly afterwards. Because I heard of these stories where people say they're going to draft you, and then they don't. So I didn't want to like disappoint my mom or, get anybody's hopes up. So I just was like playing it cool, just like, all right, they said they're going to draft me, but I don't even know. And then I saw them up on the clock, just like, and like I didn't even see the Saints even on the clock, really. It was more like they were talking about and discussing these couple other picks right in front of me. And then next you know, it like flashed across the bottom. It was like next pick. And then my name scrolls across. Everybody goes crazy. And next you know, a lot of people from Prattville showed up at the house. I didn't want to party or anything, so I didn't plan any of those things. And it was really cool, though, just going back into it. Like I said, I never forget that moment. Then after that, I got to talk to the defensive coordinator, Gary Gibbs, my safeties coach at the time, and just more and more of the guys, and then a couple other media opportunities. And then I didn't go to New Orleans until a week later. It's not like they flew me out like some teams do, the first and second round pick. New Orleans was cool with just flying out Reggie Bush. So like once Reggie got drafted, it was like we're all good after that. So it was, but it was cool, man. I didn't have to wait forever. And I remember like it was yesterday. So I got drafted. I talked to my financial guy later on that afternoon. I was like, bro, like, and I already knew a car I wanted. So literally I got drafted on Saturday and I had my brand new Benz on Thursday delivered to my house. So it was yeah, first thing. Yeah. I already knew what car I wanted, man. And so it was really cool to kind of, I wanted a drop top. So I got my Benz, which I still have to this day. I drove it today to golf. So it was good.
What?
There you go.
Damn. Well,
yeah, I got like 70,000 miles on it, so it's still riding good.
Wait, hold on. Wait, let me get that straight. So the same car you got right after you drafted, you just drove today to go play golf.
Yeah, I did. I got like right above 70,000 miles on it. But like half the miles on it, I mean, it's great. The engine's new because around 2000, I'd say 2010 or 11, I was driving in training camp with it, and it had been raining really bad out there by the airport. And I went to that Shell gas station past the airport, right there on the left-hand side, right there in, what is that, Harahan? Not Harahan. Is that Harahan?
St. Rose.
Yeah, St. Rose. Yeah, right there in St. Rose, like right there by the casino gas station right there on the left.
They got a driving range out there that stays open till like midnight.
Exactly. I used to go there a lot. So
Draft beer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cheap steak too. Steak's pretty good out there too.
Yeah, steaks and that shit?
Yes, great steak night on like Tuesday or Wednesday night. Awesome. So
I'm about to go do that like tomorrow.
20 minutes.
you know me, I'm a man of the people, so I go everywhere. So
he's coming in from the right now, though. He's not coming in from.
I'm pulling it a lot more. But anyways, so I go in the gas station and like it was a puddle, and I drove through it, and something came up through the water, messed up my engine. They wanted to total my car out, but my car was worth too much at the time, so they had to build me a brand new engine. So I didn't have it for like 18 months as they built and constructed me an engine from Germany, and then sent it over. So that's my story. And so half the miles on the car are all brand new. So, but that's my baby. I'll never get rid of it. And it's in the driveway, in the garage.
Well, it's funny. You have that car from 2006, and Nick, the FJ, what year is that? Right around the same time.
Oh, Jesus.
2007. Baby.
So Nick won an FJ.
Wait. What color is that Benz?
I was black with black Forgiatos. Actually, I just tried to redo my Forgiatos. I was going to get them like redone, and it had a little bend in one of them because I had them for so long. They literally told me that we can't fix these rims because this was like the first year Forgiatos came out. You were part of the original buyers of Forgiato. And so because we can't fix it, we love to offer you, because we are such a valued customer, because you were one of the originals, that we'll give you we'll give you all new rims at cost. And it was and so that would have saved a lot, but I didn't. I was like, no, I still just want my rims. So I just did them. Nice. I just took them to another person and got them done.
So your car is 17 years old. I think Nick's is 16 years old. Nick's FJ, which has a tree growing out of the spare tire in the back. It has about 200,000 miles on it. So there's a difference.
So Max told me this, and literally, I think we were recording the first episode of this pod right here in Nick's office, which, like I said, this shit ain't getting posted on video.
Well, we're normally in the same room, like Michael Jordan.
Well, maybe in like a year. Maybe in like a year, we're like throwback, and we're like,
Corey, hold that thought.
Well, my point is, like, Max is like, Nick's got a tree growing out of his spare tire. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. There's no way. And I look, and like we took our iPhone like to the back of the cover.
That tree's been there 2 years.
Yeah,
there's a bonsai tree like growing right between the seams. And I'm like, Nick, come on, man! Like, you've got an other nice, very very nice car. Like, what's going on here?
You gotta get. It's like Rome, man. You got these nostalgic freaking things that you got to hang on to forever.
Yeah, and Roman,
Corey, it adds character.
Normally we record in the same room. I'm in the COVID compound right now. I got diagnosed with COVID this morning. So Michael Jordan, game. I've got the COVID podcast going on right now. So.
Roman. There you go. This is Max's flu game. Just so you know. All right, Max went there with it. We weren't there with it, but Max just. So you just set a high bar for yourself there, Max, because like we weren't even going to say that.
I'm coming in hot. I got the game-winning shot later on. So
you set the bar high for yourself there, Max, because like.
So Roman, I got a quick question for you. You mentioned something like 3 weeks before the draft, you just laid low. Why do you think so many players we hear about every year have trouble? It seems like right before the draft that impacts draft stock and costs them a fortune. It's something that's like drives me crazy that there aren't people there, giving them guidance, like make sure none of this happens. Why do you think we have a story like that every year?
They don't listen to people like myself. And at the end of the day, they always believe that it won't happen to me, that you've been able to get away with certain things. You haven't got caught doing this. And I was really good at not getting caught doing stuff. But at the same time, like, I just didn't want to risk it. For me, it was that I was so nervous about, working all so hard and then having this feeling of disappointment. So the best way to not be disappointed is literally to put all your chips in. And so saying like, this is how I'm going to do it. This is the ship that I'm rolling on, and I'm fully committed to it. And so, and just going all in like that, it just really changed me. It allowed me to, I wasn't focused on anything else. I wasn't in school. I wasn't doing anything but training and really just focusing on trying to be the best NFL prospect at the time as I could be. And even though I get any visits, I didn't get all the phone calls and things like that. I had no idea where it was going to end up. But it worked out in the end. And like I told guys over this past weekend when I was in Kansas City was that, nobody cares in the building about how you get there. It's all about what you do once you get there and how do you separate yourself and become part of the team and make yourself so valuable that the team cannot let you go.
Yeah, Rome, let me ask you this. Do you guys, as active players, pay attention to the draft at all? Or just something like, let's see when they show up and, we'll go from there?
So in all honesty, Max, I paid attention to it for the first 2 or 3 years. And then after that, I was like, I think I'm kind of established. Like, I'm not even worried about them drafting anybody or bringing somebody in my position. Like, if that was to happen, then, fuck it. I mean, I'll beat them out, right? It's just I'm not worried about it. After my rookie year, I tore my ACL. That following year, they bring in a safety to replace me, Kevin Casehorn. I actually ended up keeping my job. He took Josh Bullock. So it's like, seeing these things a couple years continue that, oh, man, you look up and then next you know, that's just part of the business. And when they draft guys and then even my last year there, when they drafted Kenny Vaccaro, it wasn't like he beat me out. They just, had a knee injury. The next, he was full-time starter. Then I was back full-time starting because he broke a leg, literally a week back after I came back after injury. So I just never in my mind ever thought about that. I still really don't watch the draft. I was there. I paid attention to the first couple rounds just purely because I was there. But I couldn't tell you who drafted who too deep into it because I've just trained myself to not worry about it. I don't care about it. I'll get to know guys once they show up and show me that they deserve my attention.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, makes sense. So, talking about the draft, we've talked a little bit, probably not a little bit, a good bit about the Saints draft, whether it's, on the pod or with friends. You're a defensive guy, Rome. The Saints put a big emphasis on defense coming out pick 29. Everybody thought we were going to trade up. Even Loomis in this press conference before the draft said we got 8 picks right now. And I almost saw that as a reverse smokescreen, to be honest, because whenever we trade up, he never says we got 8 picks right now or we got capital. So when he threw that out there, I said, I still don't trust him not to trade up in the first round and mortgage future first round picks, but
that hasn't worked well.
It hasn't. Yeah. Not at all. Yeah, that's been a big topic of discussion. So that said, staying put, waiting it out, not trading up, get a guy like Jalen Carter, waiting for a guy like Breezy to fall to us at 29. What are your thoughts on that first round pick for the Black and Gold?
All right, number one, I gotta teach everybody how to say his name correctly. So only reason I know it, yeah, because it's pretty. It's like bruh, like Braze.
Oh,
so
really?
Yes. So Brian Braze is how you really truly say it. And the only reason I know that is because my college classmate, his name's Todd Bates, actually recruited him to Clemson and coached him at Clemson his first 2 years before he left on the staff. His last year went to Oklahoma. And so he knows Brian Braze really well. And he enunciated it to me. It's like, bruh, man, like bruh, Zay. And I'm like, oh.
Dude. Sweet. Thank you. Thank you for that because I have said it 7 different ways in the last 24 hours. So
I'm gonna say this.
Everybody has.
I think it's possible then that even though he might be the best fit, he probably went to the worst franchise in terms of pronunciation because we all want to say Breeze.
Yeah,
we all want to say Breezy. We just want to say that name again, right?
Yeah,
but that's good.
Yeah,
that's good info.
So that's the number one thing. The second thing I would say is that, man, I think it's a hell of a pick. I actually really, really love the pick. Not only that, but it checks a really big need for this New Orleans Saints defense. Cam Jordan was asking for more help. Well, you know what? Big time help is on the way. Not only is he a game wrecker, he's really good against the run, but he also has some pass rush and wiggle and can get up the field and really he's bigger than what you think. He plays really big. He has a mean streak and an attitude. He plays with, some gumption to him. So I really like this move. Now, I mean, and you just look at his background. He was the number one player coming out of high school, landing at Clemson. He was the best player on the Clemson team as a true freshman, really. Like, if you really watch the tape, he was the best player out there most games and being very disruptive. He tore his ACL his sophomore year, later in the season. That stinks. And then coming back his junior year, they had a total defensive, staff for the most part. They were running some similar things, but they didn't ask him to do the same type of things. I thought his junior year, it was a falling off, but I think it was not only the injury, but then also what they asked him to do was not the same. Not having the same staff, not having the same coaches, like that can affect different players. Not only that, but he was ready to go to the league as well. So I'm really excited for him actually, for the Saints going to get him. I don't know if he failed there, but I would be excited, especially being able to get this man when 2.5 years ago, there's no way he would have been projected late in the first round. He would have been an early first round projection. So anytime you can get a high quality player, really great character. Everybody talks about his work ethic and how good of a person he is. I know this from my former teammate, and so I'm actually going to have to reach out to him because he actually already sent me his numbers. Like, hey, I already told him about you, Roman, blah, blah, blah. So I actually have to do my due diligence and reach out to this young man myself. So, but I really, 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 really love the pick because it's a necessity. It's in a place of need. And I really, really like the player as well.
Yeah, and Rome, you brought up a good point. He was the consensus number 1 recruit coming out his senior year.
No doubt.
Like he was the guy. And like you said, his freshman year at Clemson, I saw the interview with Dabo Swinney saying that he was the best player on the team. Which 1,000% is crazy when you consider Trevor Lawrence, ETN, everybody.
He played with a mean streak like no other. He was a game wrecker versus the run and the pass. Really, really quick player, very twitchy to have his size and, to have that size and speed combination that he does. Very, very disruptive player with great lateral quickness, can get across the ball really fast, great swim move, early down situations. I'm telling you, and if he can continue to put it together, using his hands more, being able to get more counter pass rush moves, he's going to be an effective defensive lineman on run and pass down. So that's what I really, really like about him. Dallas, they got the big guy from Michigan. He's not that effective on the pass. He's more of a run stopper that's really good on first and second down. But he's not giving you what Brian Brzee will give you on third down in the NFL.
So, Roman, you mentioned something about scheme in his junior year not fitting him. How does the Saints scheme fit him? Is it a good fit? Max and I have always talked about a guy we liked a lot who came by the restaurant a lot, Akeem Hicks. And after he left here, he said a lot of things about the Saints staff didn't put him in the right position for his skill set. There was some stuff out there for that. How important is that, one? And two, for, a rookie coming in, how does our scheme currently as it sits with Dennis Allen fit his skill set?
So I think it'd be interesting to see if it's the actual same type of defense that they're trying to run, because coordinator's gone, DA's still calling the plays. But as the players change, DA's always been willing to change. It's like DA's not like this one-trick pony guy. So it'd be really interesting to see as they continue to build out this defense what it looks like. Because DA's run a 3-4 and a 4-3. So very multiple defense. And so that's what I think they pride themselves on. But I think the scheme itself will be fine that fits this young man just because, like I said, he's an attacking defensive lineman. I think he's an up-the-field, very aggressive 3 technique. And I think if you need him, he can kick out and play a 5 technique easy in a 3-4 because he's over 300-some pounds at 6'5" and some change. So he fits and checks all the boxes. Like I said, he's really great against the run, and he has a great lateral quickness and great first step to beat you and be a effective pass rusher on the other situations. As far as Akeem Hicks, Akeem's biggest thing was he was, as an early player, he was a great, he could really push the pocket. really use his size to push the pocket. I think Akeem's only problem he had with us is that Akeem didn't get to play third down as much as he wanted to because we had other guys doing it. And so Akeem wanted to get sacks because everybody was getting sacks. That's how you get known. And we're like,
get paid.
Yeah, and we wanted Akeem to get some pass rush reps, but Akeem would always, instead of staying in his pass rush lanes and stuff, he'd get too wide or he hit him with a 350-pound big man spin move every now and then. It gets him a little too wide, and then next and those rush opportunities in that time for this team, for the Saints at that time, were very, very how do you say, well respected. They were like diamonds. They were very precious. Everybody wanted them. We had Cam Jordan. We had Junior Gillette. We had Martez Wilson. We had all these guys who could get after the pass rusher, but we were just trying to all get them all their reps. We also had Ced Ellis, I believe, at the time. So it was very few and far between. But yeah, I get it. I understand why Akeem felt that way. And he became a really great player, and he would not have become that if he didn't leave. And that's how the game works.
Yeah. And so Molly, and we'll leave this as like kind of the final closing thought on Brzee. But
good job, Corey. You already got it, baby.
I'm working. I had to really try on that one. I had to really try because I just want to say breezy. Anyway, and this is the only thing that kept coming back in my mind throughout this draft. It was a weird draft for me for the Saints, but like I think we kicked it off with Brzee. Is that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Roman, you've seen it before, but like it seems to me like we're betting on character. We have said everybody that gets drafted, period.
It's a fundamental draft. It was a defensive lineman with a second defensive lineman following behind it.
Well, what I'm saying is that we fit the needs, of course, but like as Roman knows, if you get drafted, you were athletically gifted as hell. Like whether you're first round or seventh round, you're doing something right. But it's the common denominator that I saw with this particular Saints draft was that we were betting on character. And so,
well, you say that like there's no talent. Like Mike Ditka bet on character.
No, Max. I'm saying like I'm not saying there's no talent, but I'm saying there's talent across the board. Now, granted, there's a big difference between a first round talent and a seventh round talent, presumably. I mean, we've seen that shake out between a first round bust and a Tom Brady in the seventh round. But what I'm saying is that we've seen Saints drafts before where they go Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport, just pure measurables, Stanley Jean-Baptiste. And it's like, who the hell are these guys? I mean, but when I say guys, I mean like, who are they as a person?
Yeah.
I feel like every pick we made this year.
Those weren't bad guys.
I'm not saying they were bad guys, but I'm saying like the thing that stood out to me this year is that everybody we picked, you can look at that person, and this is me as a fan, like not even as a player, not as a former player, like Roman, like we could figure out pretty quickly the character of these guys. And it's so my question to you, Roman, as a guy who's been there before, what is the value you place on the character element when you see a team putting a draft class together versus a team that's just going for straight measurables, straight 40 times, straight height, weight variables?
Well, I think it's huge because you want to build the right locker room. And so if you bring in, the best high character guys, not only high character, but that love football and have the ability and the measurables, all those things on top, I think that's what it's all about. Because at some point, these young rookies will be leaders inside your locker room. And so when the best players are good people, everybody falls in line. And those are some of the best locker rooms I've ever been around, where when the best players are actually really good people as well. In New Orleans, in Carolina, it never failed me. And I was around a ton of great guys, as long as great football players as well. I think that's a great emphasis. I think Jeff Ireland has done a really great job, he and the college scouting staff, on understanding where they put value at. And, the drafting with guys, like they've done an outstanding job as a team with New Orleans when it comes to like drafting lately. And that's how you win. And not just first and second round guys, but like 4 through 7 is when you like really separate yourself as like a draft guru, is when you can get guys in the 4 through 7 round who like contribute, sometimes start, like come out there and make plays for you. That's huge. Was the safety the corner from Stanford a couple years ago. He was a later round guy. Yeah, Adebo was what a third round pick.
Yeah,
but started as a rookie. Yeah, starting as a rookie, making plays. So those things start to happen, and then the one from Tennessee last year, who I was
Monte Taylor.
Yeah, I was a little questionable on because I didn't love him at Tennessee. But then, hey, you get him in the right scheme, he's flying around, he's making plays, and you just never know. So all those things, they see it when nobody else does.
Well, let me say this. You didn't do it. I'm gonna toot your horn for you. You called it with Alante, and I texted you after the draft. And I was like, "Yo, talk to me about this guy. What do you know?" And you said, "Team captain. Like tough guy, smart player, has skills," and he stepped right in and did what honestly you described.
Yeah, I told you I liked his game. I mean, he was on a bad Tennessee defense, and so sometimes you don't know if it's the defense or what are they being taught. Like all those things matter. I thought he made plays. I thought he'd be a day one special teams big time contributor because that's what he flew around. He really did that well at Tennessee. But to be able to go in and contribute, especially with all the injuries the Saints have had at the secondary position, or every year it seems like they got more and more guys hurt. So you need depth, and you can never have too many cornerbacks or offensive linemen, in my opinion, or D-line. Like
Roman, you mentioned the leadership or character component off of Corey's question. Who were the best leaders when you were with the Saints and Carolina? Just out of curiosity, as far as teammates and leaders, just in the locker room or for the team, team captains, whatever. Who were the best of the best at that?
Well, I've never seen a better leader of men than John Vilma. It's just that when he speaks, it resonates, it sticks. People listen, and he's not always like a rah-rah six-boom bah guy. Not always talking, but like when he talks, people move and people listen. They perk up. He knows how to control a room like I've never seen before, better than anybody else I know. Drew Brees, of course, because of his work ethic. Drew is a leader in every shape, form, and fashion of it, in every aspect of his life, whether it's being a father, a football player, a quarterback, an offensive leader, whatever that is. Drew's great at it. So a great person like that. Getting to know Demario Davis as well has been quite fascinating. Really good player, really great leader. Malcolm Jenkins is another guy, even from a young age, that when he spoke, like people like to listen, and he liked to be out front. He was one of those guys that like, man, don't worry about it. I'm going to carry it out front. I'm going to be the first one in the line. I'm going to do it. And me, I'm like, bro, you can have all that shit. But that's what it was. And I loved it.
I think from an outsider's perspective, you led on the field too.
Right. But I'm more of a quiet guy. I'm cool. I just like do it my play and and I know how to like
quiet?
side talk. Yeah, I am. I know how to like side talk guys where it's like, somebody that's in the leadership role will say something. And then when everybody's done, I'll come over and be like, hey, what he's really trying to say is this, and this, or what coach really is looking for are these little things right here. So that was more of who I was as a person and as a player. Luke Kuechly to me really comes to mind and jumps off the board just because, I mean, not only is he an amazing player, but man, he's one of the most genuinely the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. And so he's the one that I really think about when I'm like, when great people are your best players, everything else starts to fall in line. And I mean, we stay in the same condo, and like, if he ever saw me coming out, he's like, man, can I help you get the groceries? I'm like, bro, you don't have to help me get groceries, dog. But
awesome.
For him to like to want to get the groceries, or hey, do I need your help with carrying the kid? Let me carry the groceries. You just get your kid. Like, and that's just who he is. He's genuinely the nicest human being you'll ever see or meet. And I saw him a couple weeks ago. He was country line dancing, sweating his ass off, and scared and shocked the crap out of me because I'm like, who the hell taps me on my back? And Luke Kuechly's there sweating his balls off with a cowboy hat on. So it's good, man.
Still sweating, man.
Hey, man, we all love retirement for different reasons.
Yeah, I got one more. I got a follow-up question to that because you have to settle a debate for us.
Here we go.
We had a big discussion over, as a Saint only, Demario Davis versus Jonathan Vilma in the pecking order of all time. since you brought both of them up, if you had to pick one of those guys as far as their career, just with the Saints, not neither of them with the Jets, but just with the Saints.
Like you could only pick one?
If you have to rank one ahead of the other, who gets that nod? Because we both felt they were the best leaders of their, time frame here. Obviously, both incredible Pro Bowler, All Pro. Vilma probably the best trade in Saints history.
Yeah, you can stop. You can stop. I'll take John Vilma all day.
And Nick, I think I said that, dude. I think that was my answer too.
No, well, we talked about this too because the value of one small piece of hardware that one has that the other.
Well, he also played with John and not with DeMario.
I think you had the same piece of hardware, Roman.
Yeah, it's true. And it's also it's like, look, man.
No knock on DeMario.
No, not at all.
No,
and
not
also
at all.
DeMario would be a better Will linebacker than a Mike linebacker as well, and Vilma more of a Mike. But I'll just take Vilma. Number one, he was my teammate. Number two, I just, man, the defenses that he led were remarkable. And the fact that we caused so many turnovers. It was a different breed of football than what they do now. I think the Saints now pride themselves on not stopping the run and being stingy in like the red zone. But they never caused defenses. And like as good as their defense is, nobody feared them I feel like they feared our defense when we were playing. Like when we were under Greg, when we were under Greg, that 2009, 2010, like people kind of feared us because of the way we played. And also 2011, which was probably our most talented team overall.
For sure.
Those teams, like, man, people feared us. We caused so many turnovers. We flew around. I think nowadays they play a lot more. They have a more of a way of the way in which they play, and which is going to be stopping the run first and foremost.
Just trying to get to down and distance.
Right. But they're not the turnover forcing machine that flies around and does 30 different formations, and you got safety. We got all guys on the line of scrimmage. Like they're not as exotic. So I prefer ours just off of that. And when it comes to DeMario, I love him as a player, but I think John Vilma is, for me, I'll take him.
I agree.
The coolest thing about
I agree with that, and that was me and Nick debating it, and I took Vilma's side on it. Vilma was the man. Vilma's the man.
Yeah. I mean, it's still Vilma jerseys all in the stands whenever I come to a game.
I got one back in my house right now with the Super Bowl patch on.
Yeah.
I think look, this comes up. I would say this comes up on every.
He's
episode.
in the Hall of Fame without the knee injuries, right? Like he's an NFL Hall of Famer.
He should be in the Hall of Fame now.
If his career wasn't cut a little bit short.
No, his career's too short. Career's too short.
Yeah,
could be.
He would have been, is what I'm saying, without the injuries.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But no, all I was going to say was like, this comes up every pod. We're like, that's an episode for another pod. That's an episode for another pod. Where I think like that defense compared to this defense. But I mean, it's like you said, Roman. It's like it's a fear of uncertainty. It's almost like a real life fear. Like people feared your defense in 2009 and 11 because it's like, we have no clue what the hell they're going to be doing.
Yes.
Where it's like Dennis Allen, they could bulk up. They could have the right people, and you could know exactly what they're doing, and they might still stop you. But
I'd also say it's fun playing defense when you have a lead versus scoring 14 points in a game.
Nick,
the defense is a lot to do with keeping the lead.
Nick, I actually would disagree with you on that. I would disagree with you.
Like to be in the 3-0.
No. But everybody thinks it's way easier to play better defense.
Not easier.
When your team scores 30 points a game, when actually it makes it harder because now it turns into a track meet. Teams aren't conservative; they open it up a lot more. And
you're back on the field all the time,
and now the other team is getting more aggressive. So they're taking more shots. They're doing these things, and they're pros. So it's not like they're not good at it. I had this discussion with Will Herring because he came from Seattle, where they played a little bit more conservative brand of football. And he was like, oh, man, dude, we should wreck here because we scored like 30 points a game. I'm like, yeah, you think that. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks, he's like, dude, it's so much harder. Like everything's so much faster. It's a track meet all the time because they know coming into it, they got to get to 28 minimum.
And they got to take chances.
They got to and they got to do those things. So it's just a different mindset. The team switches gears every time you play a team like that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I'm gonna ask this one kind of fun question, and we'll get back to some of these draft picks. But like, when back to that mind frame, Rome, when you're on the sideline, Drew's out there throwing screens to Pierre Thomas, Colson's coming over the over routes and the drags and all that stuff. When they just popped one to Devery in the end zone, and you're thinking you got a little bit more time on the sideline. How often were you just like, shit, Drew? Now I got to go back out there. Speaking of the track meet,
the only time I remember that actually happening is when we beat the Indianapolis Colts one time, like almost 70-0. It was like bad.
Wait, time out. Rome, you're gonna love this. That game.
Maybe they scored 3.
Bro, that game was the day before Root opened up. Because we were doing all the work in the restaurant, and I'm like, I got to go to the game. I went to the game. We blew out the Colts, went back to the restaurant, and was doing shit, setting up stuff, and we opened up the next day.
So you remember it. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night. It was one of those games. I mean, it was awful. Like, that was the only time I was like, dude, we need to stop scoring. Like, this is getting embarrassing.
You're like, I got to go back out there, helmet on. I'm going back out again.
Not only that, but I'm like, we need to save some for, like, another game. This is, like, it was just bad karma. I'm like, we got to have bad karma after this. Like, you don't get to just beat teams by 60 points in the NFL and nobody, like, it just doesn't happen. So it was one of those. That, to me, that was the only time, Corey.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I guess otherwise you're just ready to like rip it and gun and let's fucking go.
Let's go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, cool. Let's jump on the second day. So there's Isaiah Foskey and Kendre Miller. So any opinions on those two?
All right. So I know both players. Isaiah Foskey was preseason. He was projected to be a first-round pick. He was the best player on Notre Dame's defense. He was the one guy that they said was an NFL prospect, the high-end guy. And so he's got size, he's got speed. He was the 10-plus sack guy the year before. And he played at a big program. I'm waiting to see more of him before I really finalize an opinion on him. But I know it is a position of need. Cam Jordan's in like year 13. Like we can't just keep depending. Yeah, we can't just keep depending on Cam to just go be the sack guy again to Cam. So it's good to have some other guys around Cam to help take some pressure off of him, even though Cam's not going to come out of the game because he's always in such phenomenal shape. But it's always great to have more and more guys to put around them, and you can never have enough pass rushers. Kendre Miller, I studied him at TCU in the playoffs when they played Michigan, and also when he was going to play Georgia, where he hurt his ankle in the game against Michigan in the semifinals. I thought he was the bell cow for that offense. That, yes, everybody loved the quarterback and Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver, but at the end of the day, when they needed big plays, they were going to Kendre Miller, whether it was in the screen game, in the short middle screen game, or allowing him to run the ball and busting the holes wide open. And then next thing you know, open and softening things up for the pass as well. So I thought he was a really, really good running back. I actually thought at the time when they took him that they may take another running back from another school. But
who?
I can't.
Wait, who?
I can't remember.
You set the date.
I can't remember exactly who it was at the time. I have to go back in my text, which I'm on my phone, but it's all good. But I was thinking that the running back from UAB. I was thinking they may take
McBride.
Yes, I thought they may go running back from UAB, but they went with the one from TCU instead. So, which I'm not mad. We'll see how it goes. I think Kendrick's a good player. But I just know the one from UAB was top notch as well, and he was still available.
Yeah, Dwayne McBride.
Yeah, I would say about Kendre. I mean, I scouted those semifinal games too, Roman, as you know, my affiliation with the Georgia Bulldogs. But I'll say this about Kendre. Look, before he got injured in that semifinal game, when I watched TCU, you're right. Like, he provided that third wheel, that third leg to that offense that did so well that year. And when I was watching him as a fan and as somebody that said, my team's going to have to play against this running back, I said, this is a problem. I mean, even for the defense that my alma mater had, I'm like, this is someone that we're going to have to account for.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, as a Saints fan, that when he gets in front of other defenses, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bucks, what are we playing, the AFC South this year? That it's somebody that they're going to have to account for. And I think it's kind of what you hope for out of an offensive draft pick.
Yeah, also, it's also all these are things of need, all right? DN, they need more depth at the DN position. You know, they had a couple guys break out last year, some edge players that stepped up that we were not expecting. But, hey, let's go get some more, right? And then that running back, because, you know, AK's probably going to miss some time. So let's go get some more guys that can tote the rock, continue to take more and more pressure off everybody around him. And that in that offense, let's go get some more weapons. So I'm totally down with that. I actually like it. And Corey, just for further, just an observation, I don't know if we should, you know, start bringing up third legs of offense or of anything else on the podcast.
What do you mean? I don't get it. What do you mean? What do you mean, Roman?
Put out there.
Why not? Why not? You know, like, you got the quarterback.
Corey's mic's on mute.
Yeah, mute him, please.
I don't know where Roman's going with this. I don't know why Roman said that.
All right, actually,
I'm just trying to figure
come out.
Roman is here. QB, wide out, running back. I mean, I don't know what you know, we got one leg, two legs.
All right. Corey. All right, Roman, I got a question for you.
We got it.
Come on. I have a question. So there's a lot of talk in the media and on message boards and all of that with regards to player character concerns. So we've had this discussion before with the whole Deshaun Watson, the Saints' pursuit of Deshaun Watson, I guess, last offseason. And then you go into players like Jalen Carter and stuff like that. It's like, how much does the quote-unquote character concerns play into a locker room? Like, how do you guys think about it? You know, is it a big deal to you, or is it overblown by the media?
Well, it just depends on what kind of teammates you are. I think Jalen Carter's going to a good situation just because he's surrounded by Georgia Bulldogs. And it's an SEC field team, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, or everybody else down there in the SEC. So they got tons and tons of that guys. So if you have the locker room that can deal and nurture these young men that are coming in that may have character question marks or problems, like you're more acceptable of that. Like, okay, we can bring them in because we trust our locker room. It's a good locker room. Like, we're going to be fine. Like, guys are going to put their arms around him. We can take him. And so we're willing to take a little bit more risk on that side of it. Versus some locker rooms that are a little bit more unstable or a little bit more fractured. Like Denver right now can't take a lot of questionable character guys. They've already had the locker room a little bit of fracture last year with some of the things that's going on and what's gotten out or leaked out of the locker room. So the more things that you hear out of a locker room usually lets me know that the strength of the locker room is not where it needs to be. The strongest locker rooms, you never hear about anything. None of the tiffs, none of the fights, none of the arguments. Like, nothing gets out. And so, but it's like a measurement, right, Max, that, you know, if you're highly talented, like, I can allow character to be down here, right? But the character's up there and the talent's up there, it's perfect, home run. But, you know, high character guys maybe not have as much talent, but they'll get drafted and brought in before the guy with more talent, lower character, or like same talent, but less character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Roman, did you ever run into a situation in your career where there was a character issue with a player that was difficult to manage in the locker room that you and maybe some other the leaders on the team had to deal with?
Yeah, we had some terrible rookies and some young guys, but, you know, I try and help. I always try to, you know, reach out, extend, and be a good guidance for anybody that came into a locker room I was in, especially in my position group. And, you know, eventually, but I can't hold your hand. You know, you got to be a pro. You got to learn how to be an adult. I'm not asking you to be a perfect pro, but you got to be able to, you know, You got to at least like handle your own business. And that's hard for some guys. And eventually the game gets them, which means like they ain't going to be here long. Like it's just part of it, the business side of it. And that's part of the game. Like I don't worry about that because the game usually takes care of all those character things eventually on its own. One good example though was Josh Norman when I got to Carolina. Steve Wilkes was the DB coach, and he was like, look, we got this young guy named Josh Norman. He could be good, man, but he needs some more guidance. He needs some, more people to love on him. Like, he just needs some help on, like, how to be a pro. And so when I first got there, I called Josh, got his number, called him, said I heard he was a good player. I would love to meet him. I'm new, that I'm going to have his – and so we sat down, broke bread. I told him I was going to have his back. I asked him, like, what he felt was missing in the room. He was like, guys that have each other's back, like people be joking and stuff all the time. And, and some things aren't funny. And he felt picked on at times and, came in and really just trying to wipe the slate clean with everybody and start from the ground up. And he really flourished under that microscope, man. And it was great for him. I saw him a couple, and to see him grow, he's one of the more proud situations that I was a part of seeing Josh Norman's growth.
That year you got there, he went all pro, right?
Next year, but he was on the way. He was on the way that first year in 14.
Yeah, I mean, he was unbelievable.
You can see it.
Yeah. That's awesome. What other picks you want to talk about, Max?
I think day 3. So we had Nick Solidifies, offensive lineman, I think Old Dominion, Jake Hayner, quarterback, who we traded up for from Fresno State, Jordan Howden, safety, Roman's position, and also A.T. Perry, wide receiver.
All right, so where did Howden come from?
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
PJ Fleck.
Yeah, the fact that you bring up PJ Fleck first kind of makes me a little nervous. The quarterback, everybody was really, really high on. It's just like he has everything but the size. He's small, but man, he's got swag. He's got arm strength. He's got it all. Very athletic. So I'm really excited to see.
Sell Nick on him because Nick doesn't like this pick. Sell him on it.
I would say.
Boss, real quick,
You got concern about PJ Fleck.
I wasn't knocking him as a player. I was knocking the pick for the Saints in this year with their mission. Meaning, are you better off looking at another position for depth, like you were talking about, on defensive line, offensive line, cornerback, options on the table, or do you pick a quarterback today that probably doesn't see the field for minimum 3 years?
Who cares?
With the Carr contract.
Who cares? It's 5. Like it's a 5th or 6th round. It was a 6th round pick, 5th or 6th, right?
Fourth. You get fourth. The opportunity cost is 4th round pick.
It's day 3.
I'm still not even mad at it, just because I'm telling you, man. A lot of people really like this young man, and I'm not mad at it. I can't wait to see him in preseason because my favorite Saint preseason all-time Saints player was Tyler Palko back in the day. I mean, dude, it was.
These guys were talking about JJ McCleskey in our first podcast. That is right. Look, Roman, you were right on point. You're coming in from the right, just like you always do.
Tyler Palko was awesome.
Roman, you just put that. You just made close to the pin contest.
I gotta hear this.
I love Tyler Palko in preseason. It was action packed. You were never bored. He's running around. He's throwing interceptions. He's throwing touchdowns.
Lefty.
Yeah, bro. He's lefty. He's doing it all. I live for rookies in preseason. Just like so.
You live for lefty rookies.
Dude, it's going to be awesome. I think it'll be awesome to see this young man get out there and get it. And look, the Saints. Yeah, they love David Carr, but the moment that they can move on with a younger option, they're doing it. That's the name of the game. So
that's 2 years away, though, contract wise, right? If we're talking,
no, it's not. You think
bullshit? It's 1 year away.
It's like, dude, yeah. You think
Roman,
that?
I'm going to ask you to answer the unanswerable question of what is a contract with Mickey Loomis, right?
Well, I mean, so everybody gives Mickey a lot of credit for that, and look, I love Mickey to death. But the star behind the whole show is Kai. Yes, Kai is the man. I'm telling you, the Saints are in cap restrictions and in cap hell every year. And Kai, smooths them here. Like, he's a magician with the stroke of a pen every year. And so
he's like Tom Cruise
dude,
in Minority
Kai,
just like
Corey, come out. Kai Harley is the man. All the credit that Mickey Loomis gets, it belongs to Kai Harley at this point. He's the man.
That's what I'm saying.
Kai is
he's the Tom Cruise that comes in Minority Report. He's like, give me the red
sure.
ball.
Just say Kai Harley is the man. That's it.
I love it. Kai and I love Mickey. Mickey's the man too. But Mickey is so great with people. Like, that's one of Mickey's specialties is people and understanding that and the ebbs and flows of it. But giving power to others, and I truly love Mickey Loomis as a human being, as a man, as a GM. But I'm telling you, Kai Hartley is the guy that's like the superstar behind the scenes that not everybody on the outside knows, but if you know, you know.
So how long till he's a GM? So
I don't even know if that's like Kai's ultimate goal. I don't know. I'd have to ask Kai if that's what he truly wants. But man, Kai's the one, dude. Like, hey, I got to get a fifth corner at this number, Like, I understand we trying to get 2 or 3 guys, but this one wants this. Well, this is all I got money-wise because this is what I've set aside for this. And so we go make it work, and we go get the best at that. And they're just, man, they're relentless at their craft. All those people upstairs, they deserve a lot of credit. And they all been doing it for a very long time in New Orleans. And like I said, Mickey allows them to they all have a plan. They all have a goal. It's such a family-oriented building, and from the top down, it really is all hands on deck. And it's I'm so happy, and it's a pleasure to be called a Saint. It really is because of the people there.
Well, Ron, let me ask you, what do you know about Jordan Howden? So he was the safety that came from Minnesota. Do you have any insight on him, or is it kind of
absolutely nothing?
Okay.
Nah.
What would you say?
He said PJ Fleck. I'm out.
Now listen.
I mic dropped it after that.
Yeah, we'll leave that one for another day. Look, I've heard he was a preferred walk-on. Kind of pushed his
Give
way
it up,
up,
Corey. It's over.
But
It's a no.
Corey, just stop.
What about the receiver?
North Carolina, closer to home. A.T. Perry.
So I've heard
Wake
about him
Forest,
a lot. Yeah, Wake Forest guy, I think. I heard about him a bit just as he was coming out. I thought people thought he would get drafted way higher or way before when he did. So something's there. I don't know what, but we'll see how it goes, man. At the end of the day, it's guys that get drafted late every year that don't make it. It's guys that get drafted early that make it for a year or two and they bounce. Then it's guys you never heard of. It's a reason why I think 51% of the NFL are like small school guys now. Like, it's small school, it's undrafted, it's later rounds guys that get there and make it because they have this work ethic and the ability to say, I'm not going to be denied on this goal I'm trying to achieve. Versus guys that maybe get a little money in their pocket, that get drafted, get their name called, and like, man, I'm going to make it just because I'm here now, right? And you just can never rest. You can never relax. Literally every day, they're trying to find a replacement for you. Most days.
Yeah. So kind of the idea that there's always somebody better.
Well, not always somewhere better, but they're always trying to find, like, you're good enough until I can find somebody better or just as good and cheaper.
Well, your draft year, Pierre Thomas, perfect example.
Pierre was 07.
Yeah, yes, a couple years later.
Yeah.
The year after?
Yeah.
1 year after?
But we drafted Pittman from Ohio State.
Right.
The same
in 07 or 08. Yeah. And
Pierre beat him out.
Yeah. And it was almost like Sean used as an example forever to say, hey, like, I don't care how you get here. It's all about, we don't care where you're drafted at. Yeah, once you get here, when we get here. Because I'll cut it out.
Good in college.
He was good in college, but he wasn't better than Pierre in preseason.
No.
He just wasn't better.
No, hell no. Yeah. Hell no.
All right, so Roman, best team in Saints history. Which one?
2011.
2009, because we won it all. You got to win it.
Okay.
You got to win it. Most talented is probably 2011, but
yeah,
you got to win it, man. Like, and you got to be lucky. You know, things got to go right. We played the 49ers in 2011, had like 5 turnovers. Played terrible. But we had
still almost
because we had so much firepower and we were so electrifying offensively and defensively, causing a couple turnovers to get ourselves back in the game. But just one too many blitzes, one too many give up big plays, and it really cost us. And it cost the champs to win another Super Bowl because New York would have had to come to New Orleans in there. Dude, that place would have been.
Y'all steamrolled earlier.
We wouldn't have been like the 2016 or so Saints that let the Rams beat them at home. That just didn't happen for us. I'm sure we were undefeated that year at home. So electrifying year. But like I said, you got to be lucky. You got to be healthy. Things got to go right for you.
Ship's got to fall.
All right, my last question for you, since you brought up Kuechly and John. Between Kuechly and John,
Luke. Luke's the best player. Luke's the best player
you've ever played with. Is he the best player you ever played with?
Defensively, for sure. Luke, defensively for sure, not the best player I ever played with. John Vilma's still the best leader of men I've ever been around.
Yeah. Just curious. That's awesome.
No, it's man. I've never seen anybody do it like Luke, man. Special. He's telling you what play it's coming. Hey, it's like, and he's always right. And the funniest thing, the best stories I have with Luke is like when he talks trash, like white. He's so funny though, because he learned how to talk trash from Thomas Davis, but I
was waiting for the Thomas Davis shout because
I love TD. I love TD as well. But like Luke talks trash because he learned from Thomas Davis, but he talks trash like white guy trash talk. So he's like, like he always he like beats him or whatever, and he's like, "Quit holding me, you pussy! Quit holding me!" And he's like, "Quit holding me!" And then he'll say stuff like, he'll beat a guy. It's the funniest thing ever. I heard him beat a guy. He's like, "Yeah, that's a minus." Talking about getting graded the next day. So he's like beats the guy, and he tells him like, "Yeah, that's a minus." Wow. Yeah, and so
your test grade is low now,
sir.
Yeah,
it was. I love listening to Luke talk trash, and man, guy was a ferocious competitor. Yeah. And once he got on the field, man, he just took it to another level.
His career was too short too, though.
Yeah, I was about to say
he's Hall of Famer, but his career should have been all-time top couple linebackers ever, right?
It could have been, but the thing was I don't think he was ready to accept him having any type of fall off in his career, his numbers, and where he saw himself at. So before that ever became a thing or an issue, he'll just walk away.
He got it. Yeah. He was amazing.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think we hit all the good points. You've been hanging with us for a while, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
No doubt,
we appreciate it always. You're the man. We appreciate you jumping on. Thank you,
Max,
so much.
Max, this is the first time you didn't talk to me before the draft and say who you were going to pick and who was what. I just want to let you know that before we go. I'm a little disappointed in you, honestly, because am I lying? First of all, am I being honest? This is the first time you've not.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody who's been on those group texts. As somebody who's also been on those group texts, I think you're right.
This is the first time.
There's always the recap. You know, we talk about how like last year we're always like, okay, Rome, what'd you think? What'd you think?
All right.
May have a point there.
Well,
Max came in a little late this year, though. He wasn't as prepared as he was in previous years.
No,
you didn't have to.
And I'm going to say that Rome already knew my number one guy was Bryce Young, because we have talked about this for about 3 years now.
1,000%.
Okay, pause real quick. 1,000%. Last question, Roman. Sorry, I forgot to ask you this one.
As a Carolina Panther,
who wins the division? After Carolina getting Bryce, Saints doing what they did in the offseason, who's the division winner?
So I still think that the Saints have the lead early because the quarterback situation is probably better. But I'm telling you, man, Carolina getting Bryce Young, this dude is going to be a problem for a lot of teams going forward. And he's just
All right, so Nick
and look,
is not a believer.
everybody's very concerned with his height, his size. And I'm just like, I mean, he's been playing quarterback that size like his whole life. And he's
his whole life. And he's smart as shit.
And he has won at every level. And it just he just is a football player. He's a magician with the football in his hand, especially inside the pocket. Accuracy, anticipation, throwing the ball, in tight windows. Like, man, he's just so good and dynamic. I just, if Carolina can keep him healthy and protect him with offensive play calling and everything, I really think this kid's going to be outstanding long term. And look, maybe he doesn't play 15 years. If he gives you 7 or 8 great ones with like 6 playoffs, a couple of Pro Bowls, you can't be mad.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be mad. You got to be like, oh, it was worth it all.
Yeah.
So I think so often where everybody tries to think of Aaron Rodgers and all these other people. And look, for as great as Aaron Rodgers been, he only brought him 1 Super Bowl. So
he's a cocky dude. I don't know. One more question.
He's just something, dude.
One more question for you, since we're on the Alabama train. Hurts or Tua?
So I'm gonna go now. Currently, I'm gonna go Jalen, just because the thing I love about Jalen Hurts the most is that I talked to him when he was at Alabama, and this was after the national championship game where Tua came in and won. He was going through a quarterback battle that spring training, and he had all these other things that he kind of wanted to do. And I just told him to focus, and that, what I talked to my guy at Clemson about, that he had a scramble pattern problem, that literally he could only scramble. He'd fade out to the right, or he'd go up and to the right. And so he couldn't go to his left. Like, it would be lanes and stuff, and he just couldn't do it. And so everybody knew that about him. And so he worked on it. And the thing that I loved about Jalen Hurts till this day is that he has literally improved his game every year since high school. Like for sure. His freshman year at Alabama, he won all these awards: SEC Offensive Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, blah, blah, blah. Took his team to a national championship, lost the game, but when he was on the field, they scored last. And all of a sudden they lose, right? Second year, undefeated again, takes them to another national championship. They lose. Well, they win it because Tua comes in and saves them. All right.
Benched, right.
Third year, he's improved passing, even though Tua's lighting it up. But when Jalen gets in, you're like, man, he's actually a better thrower this year. Like, he's throwing the ball better this year with these better receivers, right? And so you saw him improve. In the SEC championship against Georgia, comes in late when Tua gets hurt. Leads his team to a victory in the SEC championship, dusts himself off. Yep. Like, you're just like, man, you love this. Like, you can only root for this dude. Goes to Oklahoma, shows even more improvement in the pass game, right? Second round pick, and was a Heisman semifinalist or finalist at Oklahoma.
Finalist, yeah.
Goes to get drafted by Philly. Philly didn't love the pick in the second round. Started some as a rookie, wasn't great. The following year, like, dude, big jump up. Then this past year, to see him right there in the MVP conversation, I'm like, he has just constantly improved his game after year after year. And so I love and I root for those players that, man, they don't sit on their loins, man. All they want to do is get better. And they're willing to put in the work for it. And so I will never doubt that young man, because number one, he's a winner. And number two, he's got the work ethic, and he has steadily improved. And so until he proves me that he's not improving anymore, I will continue to bet on that young man.
It's like you said, I mean, there's no room for argument against what you just said. Like the best players, you talk, I mean, I'm not comparing Jalen to MJ, but I mean, the best ever give you no argument against them. And I think
the thing that's crazy to me,
sample size with Jalen, but like you said, in this sample size that we have, you can't argue. Nobody could argue that, there was a year where Jalen Hurts took a step back.
And you can't say that Tua has continued to grow and get so much better like you can with Jalen. Like, Jalen has like really improved as a quarterback since his freshman year at Alabama. Tua's gotten better, yes. But Tua was lights out early. And from the jump. And like you see these flashes now where he's lights out, but you also see times you're like, I don't know about that one, Tua. So it's been interesting.
Right,
but
I got a question for you.
The thing that's impressive to me, real quick, is how they got three guys with that level of character and intelligence in a row. Because it's not for those three guys. We'll see where their NFL careers pan out long term. Bama. I know you don't like this, but
I mean, there's two words: Nick and Saban.
It's hard not to like the three of those guys with Bryce, Tua, and
you're leaving out Mac Jones, who's a little bit in between there too. So
we're on the vets. 1 year, 1 year, but it's those three guys to have that is kind of crazy in one program. I know they get whatever they want in the recruiting world. They're number one pretty much every year until your guys got a couple on them. But that's pretty impressive to me from a mentality standpoint, not so much a skill set standpoint, but the way they are and the way they play. Bryce is the smartest guy in college football by all accounts, and you see the way he plays is so intellectual. Yeah. Jalen is such a good leader, intellectual. Tua, you hear the same kind of things. That's just impressive to me for them. And I'm eager to see which one ends up be the best. But
all right,
it's hard to knock.
So Roman, I have a question for you. So we're going to say this year's draft only. We have Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 Alabama guys going in the first round. Who has the best pro career?
I mean, if I had to bet it.
Given situations, because some have better situations.
It's all right. Already got my answer. I'm going to go with Will Anderson just because I believe in the Terminator, bro. I've seen his upbringing. I love his parents. And let me tell you, and to talk about what you guys wanted to say earlier, that was the best draft move to me. I think I've seen in a long time for Houston to draft a quarterback at 2 and then say, F the future. Like, I won't even be here in 2 years unless I come back up and go get my defensive guy that I wanted to fill in the locker room and be a starter then too. So I love that move to get CJ Stroud at 2, get back in and go get Will Anderson at 3 and say, we don't even care about next year's top player. We're going to get him now. I love him. Let's go get him.
Why can't they draft Will Anderson 2 and then trade up for Stroud?
Because they would have had to pay a lot
We need
more.
a defensive guy there.
It's interesting you say that because if they would have drafted the defensive end first,
you just make the trade. You
I
think you get the QB early because you just got to get the QB. Yeah. And then I don't even know if they didn't have the draft. They didn't have the pick locked in yet. I don't think they had the trade locked in yet. They were working on the trade the whole damn time they were. So like, all right, we're going quarterback. Fine. I want Will. Can we make this happen? Can we make it happen?
Yeah.
How much can we go? And so they pushed it all the way up and they made it.
And he's the best player in the draft, right? Will Anderson's the best player.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Sometimes.
Jalen.
I don't think it's Jalen Carter.
You just picked him over Bryce. So who's better? Who's better than Will Anderson?
You said career-wise, so.
No. In this draft, who would you take one overall?
Oh, I'm taking Bryce. I'm taking Bryce for sure. It's a quarterback.
Bryce one overall. Okay.
I am too, honestly. But let me say this. So the trade for Will Anderson. So let's break it down because this is big. If you look at the Vegas odds right now, the 2 teams projected to go 1 and 2 in the win-loss record are the Texans and the Cardinals. The Cardinals have both of those picks. The Cardinals are projected to have the first and the second pick in the draft right now. Come on. That is Caleb Williams and that is Marvin Harrison Jr.
That is awesome. Yeah, they can get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
I mean, look, so is Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. greater than CJ Stroud and
Will Anderson?
Yeah, Will Anderson.
Will Anderson.
You know, all that is to be determined.
Bro, that's tough.
You know what? And you know what, Max? I hate to do it to you, bro, but I'm gonna hit you with a Nick Sabanism, and that is that.
Oh shit!
I don't answer hypotheticals.
Okay.
You gotta whittle your.
All right, that's fair.
On the podium there.
But honestly, we're going to push Nick Saban to the side. We're going to put him over there. You take a swig of your beer. The reality is, one of those two teams is going to have the first pick in the draft, and they're going to get one of those guys, and that other pick is going to be like 2 or 3 away. So,
well, Max, you're assuming that because, like Roman said, hypothetical they 1-2. There's a very good chance they're not 1-2.
Look,
There's no
First of all,
now
Houston's going to be a lot better than what everybody anticipates. It always happens every year.
Vegas ain't wrong much, man.
But they are when you put the lines out early. Like, we should have just bet all our money, couple thousand, on Bryce Young, because that's why all the Will Levis stuff started coming out late, because they lost their ass off when everybody that bet Bryce Young early, right? When they put the lines out.
That's Vegas always takes their money, so don't read the
As soon as
line.
Carolina got the pick, first round pick, C.J. Stroud jumped up, and everybody that bet Bryce Young early still had, they won their big.
So, Roman, it's so funny because Nick doesn't believe in Bryce Young at all. And I've been trying to tell him since the fucking high school All-American game.
True. That's not
He don't want to listen, dude. He does not want to listen. He doesn't believe
Max. He's like,
don't let him tell you otherwise.
Faces in the screen right now. Like,
my comment exactly to you, Max, was Bryce Young's going to play a very long time. I don't know if he's a top 5 guy in the game for an extended period of time. He's going to play a very long time. That's what I told you. He's a very good player. Top 5 is what we're talking about, not whether he's going to be a good player.
Go on the record right now. Is he a top 10 quarterback ever? Fuck it, top 5.
Ever?
Not ever. In his career, will he be a top 5 guy in the NFL in a given season, multiple years?
In a given season, maybe. Over a 10-year span, no. That's my prediction. In a given season, yes. Over a 10-year span, no. That's my prediction. I like him. I think he's incredible. I love really smart guys like Bryce Young. I love it.
I think he's a top 5 guy multiple times in his career.
2? Is that what you're going on the hook for? 1 more than me?
No, I'll go 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5.
How many times? Okay.
How many times All-Pro was Bryce Young?
Come on, man.
How many times All-Pro was Bryce Young?
We're going so off the rails right now.
All-Pro. That's great.
How many times?
All-Pro is the metric.
Roman's just sitting back. Like, our
Roman's watching the Lakers.
Yes.
My phone's going to die soon. So.
All-Pro, first or second team.
So, Roman, our metric for great quarterbacks is All-Pro. For any player, All-Pro is the metric, whether it's second or first team. Nick, what was it we came on? How many for a quarterback? What did we decide that? How many times for an All-Pro?
For what? To make the Hall of Fame?
Or to mark you as a great quarterback? I guess, yeah, Hall of Fame. Fuck it.
Hall of Fame's probably 4 to 5.
4 to 5. Okay.
Is a guarantee. A guarantee. We're talking about guarantee. Not some quarterbacks have made it with less than that, but a guarantee is making 4 to 5 for a quarterback. Guarantee. You're in.
Sounds like Rum's in on that too.
I'm going with Bryce, 3 to 4.
Like Eli's making the Hall of Fame, but he did not make All-Pro, I don't think, once. But he's going to make the Hall of Fame. He won 2 Super Bowls.
Eli Manning?
He probably should.
Yeah. To you, Roman, he's got what? The hardware?
Yeah.
Twice?
Right. He barely over 500.
Bryce Young makes All-Pro.
He might be.
Yeah, he might be.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But he's got the hardware.
Bryce Young makes All-Pro.
You win 2 Super Bowls as a quarterback, you're a Hall of Famer.
You would.
That's going to happen. Okay, wait. Sorry. Go ahead, Max.
Bryce Young makes All-Pro 4 times.
Cam Newton didn't make Hall of Fame.
I go less than
4 times.
Was it you? What
Cam Newton didn't make All-Pro 4 times. So
yeah,
exactly.
I know he's not a passer. I'm talking about Bryce Young.
I'm going less than 4. You got 4 and above. How about that? That's the bet.
I'm going under.
Under.
All right, record it. Boom.
And it doesn't make him a bad player. He could be a great player.
We're going to leave this as like,
leave this up.
Yeah, like,
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, like no, like we're not going to put Rome in that spot. Like if he's a former Carolina fan, like this is a fan take because like that kind of shit is like. I mean,
and let me be clear: like,
is someone going to make All-Pro 4 or X times? Like
you got to put a line on some stuff.
Crazy.
This is just a bet between me and Max.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're not going to make Rome.
Thank you.
I'm rooting for Bryce because he's a great kid. That's why I'm rooting for Bryce. I hope he's amazing. I really do. Except when he plays us. Other than that, I hope. With the Lakers
It's about I'm about to turn up, guys. So.
All right, Roman's got to go, Max.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm about
wrap
to turn
this up.
up.
We did good, man. Like
Corey, wrap
We
it up.
really appreciate it, Roman. It was awesome.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys, man. Who dat? Corey, Nick, Max, you know I love you. So love you too, Corey. Sorry. I appreciate you guys for having me, man. I really do. It was always fun. And anytime you guys need me, you know, I'm always around. So thank you.
Hey, Rome. We appreciate it, brother.
like you said,
Thanks, man.
there can only be one first guest of 28 to 3 podcast. You are it, Roman.
Thank you, baby.
And till next time, guys. Here we go.
Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
Lakers game.
Max,
See you,
feel
buddy.
better too.
Trying, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Boom.
What a comeback!